Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are Rose Martin and Francesca Portalatin, presenting our capstone project, Building Bridges, developing a trauma informed collaborative framework for educators to foster resilience in educational settings. I am a community psychologist with a focus on equity and social impact. And Francesca is a licensed school psychologist with extensive experience in supporting students' mental health needs. This project was conducted as part of our doctoral studies at the University of Miami, where we aim to create sustainable change in educational settings through trauma informed practices.
Our project is based on a paradigm shift in perspective that transforms how we approach students, particularly those affected by trauma. Instead of asking what is wrong with you, we encourage educators to ask what happened to you. This shift allows us to focus on understanding students' experiences and meeting their needs through a trauma informed approach. Our goal is to foster resilience and promote healing within educational environments. By asking what happened to you, we acknowledge the importance of students' backgrounds and experiences. This approach encourages empathy and opens up pathways for healing. Educators play a vital role in creating trauma informed spaces where students feel safe, supported, and understood. This shift in mindset promotes resilience, well being, and long term success for students. The science behind the shift. When trauma affects a child, it changes their brain chemistry and impacts how they respond to stress. By understanding these mechanisms, educators can create classroom strategies that reduce re traumatization and help students regulate their emotions and behavior. The brain can heal, but it requires a consistent, compassionate approach that starts with asking the right questions. In today's educational environments, many students come to school carrying the weight of traumatic experiences. As educators, it can be challenging to know how to best support these students. Over time, it became clear that many teachers and school staff feel unprepared to handle the complexity of trauma affected students, and this lack of preparedness can have a profound impact on students' academic performance, behavior, and overall well being. Students impacted by adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, often struggle with concentration, self regulation, and relationships in the classroom. Their emotional and behavioral challenges can be misinterpreted by educators, leading to ineffective interventions and, in some cases, punitive measures. This project seeks to equip educators with the knowledge and tools to recognize trauma response and implement positive support strategies. This project was developed in response to the need. Our goal was to provide educators with the practical tools and trauma informed strategies they could use immediately in their classrooms. By fostering a deeper understanding of the effects of trauma and offering an actionable steps, we aim to empower educators to create environments where all students, especially those affected with adverse experiences, can thrive.
The Building Bridges project addresses a critical gap in trauma informed education, one that affects students' academic success, emotional well being, and social development. While many students enter classrooms carrying the weight of adverse childhood experiences such as abuse, neglect, or exposure to violence, many educators lack the training and resources needed to effectively support these students. Without proper support, trauma affected students are at a higher risk of disengagement, behavioral challenges, and poor academic performance. Our project aims to fill this gap by providing educators with the knowledge and practical skills to better understand and address the needs of these students. We focused not only on mitigating the effects of ACEs, but also on fostering positive childhood experiences, PACEs, which can buffer against the negative impacts of trauma and promote resilience. By equipping educators with strategies for recognizing trauma responses and creating a nurturing classroom environment, we sought to empower them to become agents of change. Our goal was to cultivate a school culture where every student feels safe, valued, and supported, ultimately leading to improved student outcomes and a more compassionate educational setting.
The need for this project became evident as we observed that educators often feel unprepared to handle the complexities of students who have experienced trauma. Many educators have not received sufficient training in trauma-informed practices, which are essential for helping these students thrive. This gap in preparedness directly affects students' academic performance, emotional well-being, and overall school experience. The core of this project is about empowering educators. By providing a trauma-informed framework and practical strategies, we're giving educators the tools they need to do not only recognize the signs of trauma, but also to respond in ways that support emotional healing and academic growth. These strategies include understanding triggers, identifying coping mechanisms, and using supportive communication techniques. The trauma-informed toolkit we've developed included a practical, ready-to-use materials like printable worksheets, coping strategies, and a framework for identifying and addressing trauma triggers in the classroom. Additionally, the toolkit highlights community resources that can provide additional support for both students and educators.
Our primary objective was to implement a trauma informed framework that equips educators with practical tools to foster resilience in their students. We designed this framework to be accessible, scalable, and adaptable, with a focus on empowering teachers to integrate these practices into their everyday classroom routines.
The Building Bridges project was introduced at a diverse K-5 elementary school in Orange County, Florida, with the goal of fostering a trauma-responsive culture given the unique needs of students impacted by adverse childhood experiences. The project aimed to equip educators with the skills and tools necessary to better support their students and promote positive academic and emotional outcomes. The project was built around a three-part framework: a trauma-informed practice manual, a summer book club centered on the book What Happened to You by Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey, and a community resource fair. Each of these components was designed to help educators and the broader school community understand trauma, build empathy, and implement practical strategies for student support. The Trauma-Informed Practice Manual was the cornerstone of the project, offering educators detailed guidance on how to recognize and respond to trauma in the classroom. This manual included resources like trigger identification tools, strategies for creating safety plans, and coping skill checklists. By giving educators an ongoing access to these tools, we aim to transform the school into a safe, nurturing space for all students. To deepen educators' understanding of trauma, we launched a summer book club that focused on What Happened to You by Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey. This book highlighted how childhood trauma affects the brain development and behavior, providing crucial insight into why students may struggle with emotional regulation and learning. The book club created an opportunity for staff to engage in a meaningful discussions and reflect on how trauma-informed practices can be applied within their classrooms. The project culminated in a community resource fair which brought together local agencies, mental health professionals, and support organizations to provide educators with access to additional trauma-related resources. This fair reinforced the importance of the holistic community-driven approach to supporting students and their families, and fostering connection between school and external support networks. Together, the manual, book club, and the resource fair aim to create a trauma-responsive culture within the school. By focusing on both educator empowerment and community engagement, the Building Bridges project provides a comprehensive model for addressing the effects of trauma in educational settings. While the project began in one elementary school, the ultimate goal is to expand this trauma-informed framework in other schools in Orange County and beyond. By creating a model that can be adapted to various educational environments, we hope to make trauma-responsive education a standard practice across the district, helping more students overcome adversity, and thrive academically.
Our project was grounded in two key theories: Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory and constructivist learning theory. Bronfenbrenner's model emphasizes the role of environmental systems, like family and school, in shaping child development, while constructivist learning theory focuses on active learning and the importance of scaffolding for students affected by trauma.
In the study of Shefilius and his peers, the implementation of the trauma-informed frameworks was linked to a reduction in behavior incidents among students. Schools that adopted these practices saw fewer disciplinary referrals, indicating that trauma-informed strategies help students better manage their emotional responses and behavior in the classroom. The same study found that trauma-informed practices not only reduced negative behaviors, but also improved emotional resilience among students. The study of multi-tier trauma-informed strategies by Thomas and his peers emphasized the importance of multi-tiered approach to trauma-informed education. Their research showed that schools implementing tiered trauma-informed strategies ranging from the universal practices to more targeted interventions created safer and more supportive learning environments. This is in turn enhancing students' engagement, leading to better academic outcomes across the board. The research by Shefilius and Thomas supports the importance of trauma-informed practices in schools. It highlights both behavioral improvements of academic benefits, making a strong case for the importance of these strategies in fostering a supportive, resilient school environment.
The implementation of our project began with Phase 1 preparation, where we developed and distributed a comprehensive trauma-informed practice manual to all educators at the school. The manual provided actionable strategies for identifying and addressing adverse childhood experiences and promoting positive childhood experiences within the classroom. It covered practical techniques such as creating emotionally safe spaces, using rhythmic movement exercises for emotional regulation, and building positive relationships with students. By distributing the manual digitally, we ensured that every educator had access to these resources at their convenience, allowing them to integrate trauma-informed practices into their daily routines at their own pace. Phase 2 was engagement. Built on this foundation with the introduction of a summer book club centered around What Happened to You by Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey. This book club was designed to deepen educators' understanding of how trauma affects brain development and student behavior. It offered weekly 1.5-hour sessions with options for both in-person and virtual participation, ensuring flexibility and accessibility. These discussions provided a collaborative space for educators to reflect on trauma's impact on learning, share personal insights, and discuss how the concepts from the book could be applied in their classrooms. The sessions also fostered a sense of community among participants, creating a support network where they could learn from one another's experiences. This phase was crucial in moving from theory to practice, as it allowed educators to engage directly with the material and build confidence in applying trauma-informed strategies.
As part of a Building Bridges project, we organized a community resource fair that brought together educators, local mental health providers, and support services. The fair was a key component in building a strong support network, connecting educators with resources that could assist students and families dealing with trauma. By fostering this community partnership, we aim to extend the reach of trauma-informed practices beyond the classroom. To assess the effectiveness of Building Bridges projects, we conducted a pre and post surveys, interviews, and feedback surveys with participant educators. These tools helped us measure changes in knowledge, attitudes, and confidence levels regarding trauma-informed practices. The data collected guided reflections on the project's impact, revealing significant improvements in educators' understanding of trauma, as well as their ability to apply trauma-informed strategies in their classrooms. The feedback from educators highlighted the profound effect that the Building Bridges projects had on both their professional practices and their relationships with students. Many reported that they felt more prepared to support trauma affected students and that the strategies they learned improved not only students' behavior, but also the overall classroom environment. These reflections affirm the importance of continuing to promote trauma-informed education as the standard practice in schools. This structure emphasizes the importance of the Community Resources Fair and how the trauma-informed manual and book club insights were applied. It also detailed how surveys and interviews help measure the project's impact, offering a comprehensive look at the initiative effectiveness in creating a trauma-sensitive learning environment.
The manual provided actionable strategies for addressing ACEs and PACEs in the classroom, focusing on creating safe and supportive environments. By making it available digitally, all staff could access the content and integrate the trauma informed strategies at their own pace.
As a central element of the Building Bridges initiative, we hosted a summer book club that focused on weekly discussions of What Happened to You by Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey. These discussions allowed educators to explore the effects of trauma on brain development, behavior, and learning. Each week, educators reflected on how the book's themes connected with their classroom experiences, helping them to better understand their students' needs through a trauma-informed lens. To ensure accessibility, the book club offered both in-person and virtual participation options, making it flexible for educators with different schedules and preferences. This hybrid structure enabled more participants to engage, whether through live discussions or on their own pace. The flexible format was key to making sure that all educators could benefit from the insights of the book, no matter the availability. Participants consistently highlighted the relevance of the book club discussions in their everyday classroom practices. Educators found that the knowledge gained from What Happened to You provided them with a more compassionate, trauma-sensitive approach when working with students affected by adverse childhood experiences. Many educators expressed that the book deepened their understanding of the emotional and behavioral challenges that their students face, allowing them to respond more effectively and empathically. As the book club progressed, educators began to implement new strategies in the classroom based on their weekly discussions. This included creating more supportive environments, recognizing trauma-related triggers, and integrating calming techniques to help students regulate their emotions. The reflections shared during the book club helped participants connect theory to practice, enhancing their ability to support students with trauma-informed strategies that foster resilience and academic growth. This additional contact emphasizes on how the book club fostered a deeper understanding of trauma and its impact, while also providing flexible participation option. It highlights the direct connection between the book's themes and the educator's application of the trauma-informed practices in their classroom.
The resource fair aimed to connect educators with local mental health services and community resources, providing a practical network of support. Workshops at the fair focused on trauma, mental health, and resilience building, emphasizing the importance of supporting both students and educators.
To access the impact of Building Bridges project, we employed a mixed method approach, combining both quantitative and qualitative data. This comprehensive evaluation strategy allowed us to capture a full picture of how the initiative influenced educators' knowledge, practice, and overall experience. We conducted a pre and post assessment survey to measure changes in participants' knowledge of trauma-informed practices. These surveys provided the quantitative data necessary to evaluate the effectiveness of the training. By comparing responses before and after the training, we were able to identify significant improvements in educators' understanding of ACEs and PACEs, as well as their confidence in applying trauma-informed strategies in their classrooms. In addition to quantitative surveys, we gathered qualitative data through interviews and feedback surveys. These personal reflections from participants gave us a rich insight into their experiences throughout the project. Educators shared how the training impacted their day-to-day interactions with students and how it helped them create a more trauma-sensitive learning environments. The qualitative data highlighted the perceived value of the training, with many educators expressing a newfound sense of empathy and preparedness when supporting trauma-affected students. The mixed method approach enables us to evaluate the project's success from multiple angles. The quantitative analysis shows clear increase in trauma-related knowledge, while the qualitative data revealed that the training had a profound impact on educators' confidence in the classroom practices. Many participants reported that they felt more equipped to recognize the signs of trauma, respond to students' needs, and implement coping strategies that foster resilience. Through the combination of a pre and post surveys, interviews, and feedback, we gain a holistic understanding of how the Building Bridges projects influence both individual educators and the school community as a whole. The training's value was evident in the improved knowledge, attitudes, and practices shared by participants, affirming that trauma-informed education has the power to transform not just academic outcomes, but also the well-being and the emotional health of students and staff.
Our data revealed substantial growth in both the knowledge and confidence levels of the educators who participated in the initiative. Knowledge scores saw notable improvement, rising from an average of 3.0 before the program to 4.5 after the implementation. This increase reflects a deeper understanding of trauma's impact on student behavior and learning, as well as a greater familiarity with strategies to address ACEs and leverage PACEs. Educators reported that the trauma-informed manual and book club discussions helped clarify concepts such as trauma-sensitive communication and practical classroom interventions, making them feel more equipped to recognize trauma responses in their students. Additionally, confidence levels in applying trauma-informed practices grew significantly, with scores increasing from an average of 2.8 to 4.4. This change indicates a shift from feeling uncertain about how to address trauma in the classroom to feeling empowered and prepared to take action. Educators share that having concrete strategies from the manual, along with the collaborative support from their peers through the book club, made them feel more capable of creating a safe and supportive environment for their students. This boost in confidence translated into more proactive efforts to adapt teaching methods, implement emotional regulation activities, and engage students in a compassionate manner. These improvements in knowledge and confidence highlight the effectiveness of the program in fostering a trauma-responsive mindset among educators, ultimately benefiting the school community.
The feedback on the Trauma-Informed Practice Manual was overwhelmingly positive. Participants rated the manual with an average score of 4.6 out of 5 for usefulness, emphasizing how well it served as a practical resource they could apply in their day-to-day work. The manual provided step-by-step guidelines, templates, and community resources that educators found valuable for creating a trauma-sensitive learning environment. The summer book club centered on What Happened to You received a score of 4.8, highlighting the importance educators place on this weekly discussions. Many participants reported that the themes discussed during the book club were directly applicable to their classroom practices, particularly in helping them understand trauma's impact on brain development and student behavior. The book club became an important space for peer support and reflection, further reinforcing the trauma-informed strategies presented in the manual. The Community Resource Fair, which connected educators with the local mental health providers and support services, scored a 4.5 in satisfaction. Educators appreciated the opportunity to meet face-to-face with community partners who could support both of them and their students. This event not only strengthened the trauma-informed framework of the project, but also built ongoing relationships with external resources, enhancing the school's support network for students experiencing trauma. Overall, the high scores for the Trauma Informed Manual, Book Club, and Resource Fair demonstrated significant perceived value of these components in enhancing educators' professional practices by providing practical tools and fostering a deeper discussion on trauma and connecting with local resources. The Building Bridges projects equipped educators with the knowledge and support necessary to create a safer and more resilient learning environment for students affected by ACEs.
Qualitative feedback revealed key themes, including increased awareness of trauma's impact, practical strategies for classroom implementation, and the importance of community support. For example, one educator noted, "Now I understand how early experiences shape behavior and can better support my students." While another shared that the resource fair helped me feel more connected to the community and confident in guiding families to the right support.
Despite the overall success of Building Bridges projects, we encountered several challenges. One of the primary issues was limited participation, which was often due to scheduling conflict. Another challenge was our reliance on self-reported data for much of the project assessments. While surveys and interviews provided valuable insight, they also introduced potential bias as participants may have been inclined to report favorable outcomes. We also found the scope of community involvement was narrow and initially anticipated. Although the community resource fair was well received, it primarily attracted local mental health providers and school staff, limiting a broader community participation. The data collection method to include more objective measures of impact, for example, incorporating students' academic or behavior data, could provide a more well-rounded picture of the project's effectiveness.
Our project has several key strengths that contributed to its success. First, its holistic approach effectively combined theoretical foundations with practical applications, ensuring that educators not only understood trauma-informed concepts, but also knew how to apply them in their daily interactions with students. This balance allowed us to ground our work in Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory and constructivist learning theory while delivering concrete tools and strategies through the informed manual and book club. Additionally, the emphasis on community engagement, especially through the resource fair, helped create stronger connections between the school and local mental health services, making support more accessible for both educators and students. However, we identified areas for growth that could strengthen future iterations of the project. One opportunity lies in incorporating more case studies within the book club sessions, which would offer educators additional real-world examples and scenarios to deepen their understanding. Building deeper partnerships with a broader range of community organizations could also expand the support network for educators and students, especially in areas like mental health and family services. Finally, ongoing support is critical. Providing follow-up training and check-ins could help sustain the impact of trauma-informed practices over time, ensuring that educators continue to feel supported in implementing these approaches well beyond the initial training.
Looking ahead, there is significant potential for scaling the Building Bridges framework to other schools and sectors. The success of this initiative has already gained interest from other institutions, including Orange County Judicial System and Miami-Dade County government. These entities recognize the importance of trauma-informed practices, not just in education, but also in areas like juvenile justice and social services where the impact of trauma are deeply felt.
The Building Bridges initiative has made a significant impact on educators' ability to understand and support students who have experienced trauma. Through a combination of theoretical grounding and practical tools, the project provided a comprehensive framework that allowed educators to better recognize the effects of ACEs and leverage PACEs to foster resilience. By creating a trauma-informed culture within the school, we enabled educators to transform their classrooms into safe, supportive spaces where students feel heard, valued, and understood. Our data showed notable improvements in both knowledge and practical application of trauma-informed practices. Educators reported increased confidence in addressing the needs of trauma-affected students, and we saw a positive shift in the school environment with more empathetic interactions and improved student behavior. The project's approach also highlighted the importance of community involvement, helping to bridge the gap between schools and local mental health services, which is essential for long-term support. Ultimately, this project not only contributed to the growth and well being of the students, but also equipped educators with sustainable strategies that can be applied well into the future. The insights gained from this initiative lay the groundwork for expanding the framework to other schools and sectors, showcasing the potential for trauma informed practices to create lasting positive change in diverse educational settings. We believe that with continued commitment and support, the Building Bridges model can inspire a shift in how schools understand and respond to trauma, creating more resilient and compassionate communities. We extend our deepest gratitude to the educators who participated in this project. Our advisor, Dr. Khan, for her unwavering support and, might we add, superior editing skills, and the local community partners who helped bring this initiative to life. We welcome your questions and look forward to discussing our findings, insights, and future directions for this project. Thank you.